I think the president should appoint a senior level person to drive this issue. And why doesn't that senior level person convene a meeting of all the like-minded countries who are concerned about the inadequacy of international action? We've heard a lot of governments speak out. Indonesia, Malaysia. Why don't we not only would it, I think, move the ball, but it will also be a powerful demonstration that the United States cares about human rights of Muslims. We care about human rights of Christians. We care about human rights of anyone and everyone. And there are governments who have expressed strong opposition to what's happening, but there is no coherent and cohesive effort to drive this issue. Why don't we play that role? Why doesn't the United States try to play that role?
Absolutely.
Also, this is a president who loves to surprise people, and I think he should surprise us all on this. And I actually think this could be an attractive proposition for him.
Why?
Why? Because this is a cause that the world can get behind. This would cast him as a real leader in an effort. It would also be very valuable in terms of making the case to skeptics in this country that he is anti-Muslim. So I think there are all kinds of reasons why the president ought to take this on.
After the chemical attack in Syria during his administration, he surprised everyone by launching 50 cruise missiles into Syria. And his rationale for why he did that was really a humane one. It was that he had been so shocked, his conscience had been so shocked by the images coming out of what that government had done to its own children and its own country that he felt he had to act. We have a similarly grave situation here. I'm not advocating missile strikes by any means. I don't think that would work in any case. But if he was so moved by that, I would hope he could be as moved by this.
If there's one thing that you could say to US policymakers right now about this crisis, what would it be?
That's a great question. I think we've said a lot during this podcast, but I would say when your children 10 years from now are studying the history of this region and they hear about this terrible, terrible situation, and they ask you, hey, Dad, Mom, you were in government. What did you do? Think about that question. Ponder that question every single morning, and think about what that question requires that you do to try to elevate the interest, the concern, the outrage surrounding this issue.
So during the Bush administration, President Bush came in and was briefed. There's a story that he was briefed on what happened in Rwanda and said, "Not on my watch." And that informed his policy towards Darfur, which he put a lot of diplomatic effort into, and other major human rights issues. This is a not on my watch moment for the Trump administration and everyone who works in it, and I would hope they treat it accordingly.